Smartphones. Those little thingies. Mine is here, always with us, right? How many apps do we actually need today to stay connected? Twitter. Everybody's on Twitter today. Keep tabs with friends and watch videos and stuff like that. There's an app for almost everything. And yet, how many of those are we going to totally forget until we need those little extra megabytes to take a picture? Is there another way? Is there something else we can do instead of applications? So, ich heiße Stephanie Walter, ich komme aus Frankreich, and I'm going to do the next thing in English, if you're okay with it. I'm a designer, and today I want to talk to you about what we could do with all of those crazy mobile technology and new APIs, not from a developer point of view, but from a designer one. So there's a lot of technical stuff at the end of the conference, so you developers will get all the links you need. And what I really want to show you is what we can do, what we can build together from a user point of view to make a mobile experience a little bit better. I've divided my talk in kind of 3 chapters, and I'm going to use Zoe, a fake user, to through this journey. So Zoe was invited to speak to a conference. Usually when you get invited, you've got the conference organizer who want to talk to you a little bit. Most of the time you end up on Skype, and then 3 days later you've got all of these Skype nicknames. You don't know who they are. You kind of don't want to delete them. You never know. What happened this time is that actually the organizer sent Zoe a little link. So this is something real. You can check it after. She would just connect in this little room. Then the browser is going to ask her permission. What you have to understand, into the mobile browser, that it has to ask permissions one by one. Mobile application, like native apps, you ask for everything you want to do from the user when he downloads it. Into the browser, it's permission by permission. So the browser requires permission here for camera and microphone, and here is Zoe. She's like doing this little chat conference directly into the browser. You have nothing to install. You have nothing to maintain. You don't have any plugin, any third parts, anything to do. Just something directly into the browser. How does this work? Basically, it's this WebRTC, so this stands for Web Real-Time Communication. You can open a channel between 2 devices, like a MacBook and a mobile phone, or 2 mobile phones if you want. And through this channel, you can put whatever you want, so audio stream, video stream, data, files, peer-to-peer connection, stuff like that. Regarding support, well, it kind of works already quite good on some desktop browsers. It's currently in development on Microsoft Edge and Safari, yay! And you'll also need this get user media. So this one is a little bit more clumsy at the moment, but you can do more with that. So Zoe, she's going to the conference, and then the organizer asks her to update her online profile. She comes to this website and she sees this little thingy like, update my picture. What happens next when she clicks? She got this little dialog. With the input type file and this accept attribute, you can now have these little things. The user can choose between the camera and directly take a selfie, or use the documents and use pictures that are already on her phone. If you want to skip this one, if you want the user to be able to directly take the picture, you just add the capture attribute, and then you come with something like this. So what could we do other than that? We could imagine an Instagram directly into the browser. This is Una. She did this awesome thing. She recreated Instagram filters directly in CSS3. So for the moment, this doesn't work on mobile. It only works on desktop. You can use the website, and it then uses your camera. But this little thing, the take a photo, would be pretty easier to make mobile friendly. You would just have to add the little line of code I showed you. Then the user would take the photo. The filter would be applied directly using CSS3 filters, and then you go. Instagram in the browser. Another fun thing you could do is accessing microphone, and those guys, they did a little guitar tuner app. So again, you go to the web page, it asks you this time for microphone permissions, and then you can play with it. No. Okay. So yeah, it's actually real life. You can do this online as well because it's JavaScript just taking what's going through the microphone stream and checking it directly. So as a second use case, I wanted to show you how we could enhance a conference website, for instance, into a progressive web application. What I'm going to show you, I think we should treat this as progressive enhancement. Most of the things only work on Android, Opera, Chrome, and Firefox. I'm really sorry. But the cool thing is that you can build a website that would work for everybody and then progressively enhance it to make it like web application-ish for everybody else who can support it. Imagine that you can actually install and launch a website from the home screen of your device. This can be done with something called Web App Manifest. For those who use Android, this has nothing to do with the Android Manifest. That's why I put the W3C in front of it. It's basically a JSON file. You are going to put it on your website, and you are going to fill all those information. So, name of your app, short name or long name, start URL if you want it to go to a specific URL, usually your homepage. Many icons. We'll see the other ones a little bit after. So while preparing her conference, Zoe actually visited this website a lot. After a few times, there's this little banner appearing at the bottom of the website. It's basically telling Zoe that she can add this to her home screen. She's curious, she tries it, and then she sees that the little application, the little website actually appears in the middle of all her native applications. So this little banner, it's available on Chrome 42. For the moment, it works that way. The user has to visit the website twice, at least, in at least 5 minutes between two visits. So basically, the idea is check if the users come back and then put this little thing and like not showing it on the first time the user is coming. So what does it look like? If you don't get this banner, if you're not in Chrome and you don't have the requirements, it works on, that's Firefox, the first one. It also works pretty well on iOS. And there are websites that actually are trying to promote this. So this is an e-commerce website. The first time you come on this one, you've got this little arrow telling you that, hey, you can add me to your homepage. And this is what it looks like. iOS, Android, so I put all three of them. It works on Chrome, Opera, and Firefox. Strangely, the two Opera and Firefox icons are bigger, and it also works on Microsoft. There's this website in France. It's a bank. It's called Boursorama. They chose to ditch the native application, so no more app. And what they do, they did this really big campaign explaining to the user, like, we don't have any app anymore. This is a responsive website now. If you want it to like work like an application, you can go to the home screen and add it. It's a little bit dated. It was 2 years ago now. And they also did all these things about explaining user, yeah, it's going to be as secured as your application, HTTPS, things like that. So really a big work on explaining the customers, the users, what is going to happen. And the fact that they don't have any native application anymore, but it's fine because the website is now responsive. So when Zoe opens the website from the little icon, she gets this little launch screen. This is available on Chrome 47 and above. You don't have a lot of control over it. Basically, it's going to use your icon, it's going to use the name of your app, and you can change the background. But that's okay, since it's only going to show for at least half of a second or something like that, while your progressive web app is going to be loading. Surprisingly, this site is now going to launch full screen. So you've got different modes, and this is called the standalone mode. In standalone mode, developers can choose to not show the URL bar anymore. There are like 2 modes currently supported by Chrome and Opera. So the browser mode, you got the URL, and the standalone mode. There's a little bit debate about that. I'll come back to that later. iOS has something like ish. You have to be careful with that one. There's a meta. So at first, it seems like it works the same way. When you add it to the home screen with this meta, you get the first screen, it's okay, but as soon as you open a link, it's going to open a second tab. So here you see, you've got the first one and then the second tab. This is supposed to be used only with web apps, where you would not have any URL, where you would only have like the content populating through Ajax. So if you don't have any URL, like real HTTP, HTTPS URL, it's okay. If not, you might end up with something really, really strange like that on iOS. You might have noticed that there are some colors as well on the themes. So this is a French website. They sell socks, and only socks. And what they do, they actually change the bar according to the color of the sock. It's pretty funny to play around with. And to do that, you just need to add this little meta name and a theme color. You have to do that on every page. That's why they can so easily change the color for each page. And if you don't want to add to every page, you can have this like site-wide theme color by using this line into the manifest. So basically, it's going to show in the URL on top of here, and it's also going to show when your site is going to be launched as a web app. And since it's getting pretty messy to have about, I don't know, 10 or 12 icons and a manifest and meta for Android and for iOS, and another meta for Windows Phone, there's this little tool that is going to generate it. So you just feed him with a small little icon, and he does the work for you, and you download a zip, and yeah, magical. Let's talk a little bit about notifications. When Zoe checks the program of the conference, she sees that she can actually create this sort of wish list. So when she hits the little star, it's going to add her conferences to her wish list. And there's this little button telling that she can be notified 10 minutes before the conference starts. So again, the first time she's going to push this button, she's going to be asked by the browser if the browser is allowed to access notifications. And then she can push this button as many times for every conference she wants. She's never going to be notified again. What you have to understand is that you actually have to make the user understand why you ask them notifications. I've been on many, many blogs. I've never been on these blogs, and the first thing I see is like, hey, can I access your location and your notifications? Why the hell do you want my notification? No, we don't know each other. What's in for me? What can I gain? So here what we could imagine is a little banner explaining to Zoe what she's going to gain. Here is basically being notified before the conference is going to start. So the day of the conference arrives, and she's having a coffee in front of the room, and her phone vibrates. She hasn't quite opened the website in a few days, but now she sees on her home screen, so the phone is locked, this little notification telling her that the conference is going to start in 10 minutes in the room. The cool thing about using those notifications is that they are going to be integrated into the operating system. So this is Android. You see those on the top of the operating system notification. Also on lock screen. On desktop, it's also supposed to work with the macOS notification center. And I think it was a week ago I saw a video showing you those notifications in the Windows 10 panel. So big integration on desktop and mobile for those notifications. How does it work? Little bit complicated here. You're gonna need kind of 2 things. You're gonna need a push API, which is now part of the service worker technology family. I'm not a developer, so I'm really trying to like sum these things up. So basically, it's kind of a JavaScript. It's gonna run into the background, and once installed, it can do anything, and even the coffee, I guess. I'm pretty sure somebody is going to make coffee with Service Worker one day. So it acts like a small little proxy, and it's used to push notification to the browser. So what happens is the server is going to say, hey, there's a notification, and this little thing in the middle is going to push them. So even if you've closed the browser, he's going to be able to kind of awake and push those notifications to Zoe, even if the website isn't open anymore. Support. That's always the sad part. For the moment, only Firefox and Chrome, Opera, and Android on mobile. Safari and Microsoft Edge. For the service worker, it's under consideration. The push API, it's a little bit more complicated, but well supported already on desktop. And same Microsoft Edge push notification under development. And a little link again, there's this pretty cool website you can check where you can actually test all of those notifications, and you can do a lot of things. You can put emojis and also many different buttons and stuff like that. Zoe might not know it, but the conference site is actually cached offline. This is pretty useful because I don't know how's the Wi-Fi here for you, but in many conferences the Wi-Fi is not that great. There's many people on it, and if you want to just check the conference program, it might be a little bit complicated. So here again, we are going to use the service worker. What happens is that actually it can intercept the request and check if there's like cached files, stuff like that, and serve the program a little bit faster, and even serve it if there's no connection at all. If you want to play with those, there's like two really cool demos, Pokédex. So once you've once you've actually been to the URL, then it's cached and you can come back. Here is in play mode, and I love that one. That's a game. It uses swipe. It kind of I played this a lot in trains and in planes when I don't have any connection. So I gave this kind of talk in March. I really want to make a demo, and then I saw that in May, Google I/O made something that kind of looked like what I just showed you. So I'm just gonna show you the Google demo. So you have to allow the notification. Not a good point. They should have like told the user why, but anyway, you've got all of these things. You can normally say, I want to add this, so, and they say you get a notification when it starts. Then this is my program. So here it explains to you how notification work. And I'm gonna add this as home screen. So here's the icon in the middle of all my apps. The Facebook is not a native app. And then I'm back. So I'm still logged in. And if I'm going to my wish list, you see it's still synchronized. So everybody I've added, it's still there. I'm gonna add a few more. I'm going offline. So you've got this little notification saying that changes will be saved for later. I'm still adding things. It works. Like adding another one just to show you another day. And then when I go here, you see they've actually been added. And there's no connection here. So I've been able to change pages without any connection. And now, switching back to connection, as soon as you see the 4G being back, you've got this notification saying that, actually, this happened, so now it was sent to the server. So what happened is that everybody was saved offline while I didn't have connection, and as soon as the connection came back, the service worker just like sent all of those data and synchronized everything. To go a little bit further, you could do something they kind of call application shell. Again, this looks really native app-ish for those of you who tried it. The idea, basically, I've put a link, I don't want to go too deep in that. One is that you have this application shell, which is the UI of your web application, the Chrome if you want. You are going to cache this so that the first time it's a little bit long, but next time the user comes, he has the UI pretty quickly because it's served from the cache. And then you are going to add the content dynamically with JavaScript and stuff like that. So there's a really, really cool website called PWA Rocks, where you can find all of those demos if you want to play with it. And there's also a lot of complaint and kind of a little bit of a debate currently in the community. Some people say that, some people argue and wonder if it's such a good idea to hide the URL. They're telling that the URL is part of the web, and if you are doing a web application, we should keep the URL. The other issue with hiding the URL is that if you want to share your website, you have to add those little buttons. Otherwise, the user is like stuck in this progressive web app and he can't share anything. There's also a little issue with, for the moment, the demo I showed you. It's really app-like. They've got their own subdomain, stuff like that. So it kind of looks like we are going one step back when we didn't have responsive web design and everybody is doing this mobile-specific stuff instead of doing like responsive global web design and then making it better for mobile stuff. So, as the last part, I wanted to show you a little bit what we can do if you want to adapt the website to the user's context. The first conference starts. Zoe is in a dark room, a little bit like you today. What happens is that the website is going to adapt to the color, to the light of the room. This kind of seems crazy, but at least the people behind you are not going to have their eye burned because somebody is watching. Have you ever been to the movie and the guy just in front of you is just checking his mobile phone every 3 seconds and you see this really white screen and it's killing your eyes? Yeah, we can avoid that. Another pretty interesting use case. I was working with people in the construction industry. They had this crane monitoring application. It was a web app. It worked in Chrome, so you could have it on a computer, and you could also have it on a tablet phone. And the issue is that you have no idea where these people are going to be, and if there's a lot of light, they might not see anything anymore on the screen. So we could imagine detecting the light around them, and if there's really, really a lot of light, over-enhancing the contrasts to make sure that if there's an alert here, if there's something going wrong with this crane, the people who are responsible for monitoring, they are going to be able to see it. Specification, so it works like that. I was playing with the sensor, just putting my finger on top of it. The support for the moment, you've got 2 choices. Yeah, it's the future, guys. So we've got 2 choices, Light API, and there's something actually in CSS. There's this media query that's supposed to do that. For the moment, it's a working draft, no support yet, but it's going to be interesting, I think, in the future. Well, it's the end of the talk. Maybe we want to give some feedback to the speaker, right, or to the conference organizer. I went to Confu last year, and at the end of the talk, they would give the people this little thingy. You would just fill them, and 1 hour after my talk, I got my feedbacks. So it means that somebody, maybe a lot of people in the team collected those. They just scanned all of those. They put the grades together, and they then sent this feedback. This is awesome, and this is a lot of work for the team. Can we find a way to actually make this better? Meet the physical web. This kind of sounds like a cheesy buzzword, yeah. So, the concept behind this is Google, again, who's proposing this. The idea is that to be able to put little Bluetooth, low Bluetooth energy beacons on everything, like objects, like in a dog necklace, I don't know, somewhere on the stage and stuff like that. And those little beacons would broadcast a URL, short broadcast, so that it won't be too complicated. So what could we do? Well, let's imagine that it's a multi-track speaker conference, and you've got these little things here and here, maybe. You could just like stick a beacon on those, something really, really small, and this beacon would broadcast a URL somewhere in the room. Everybody who has the physical web enabled on their phone. So, fun fact, this works on Chrome for iOS since July 2015, so last year. And it's available on Chrome 49. You just have to activate the settings somewhere. I can show you afterwards if you want to like see where you can activate this. And then every phone that can actually see those URL gets this little notification. And then the user is sent to this webpage, and you can just like fill the form, send it, and yay, instant feedback. No more like things to scan and to send and stuff like that. Support. Okay. It works on Chrome with a flag, so you can actually, this is the Bluetooth API. So there are two things. You've got this physical web thing, and this is the Bluetooth API, which is kind of linked. And the cool thing is that physical web is broadcasting URLs. With the Bluetooth, you could actually directly connect to objects. So smartwatches, sensors, Nest thermostats, everything you want, every connected object with a Bluetooth, you could actually connect to it. So here is a little turtle demo from the Google team. Do we have the sound? Okay, what happens is that this little turtle is linked to the website behind it using Bluetooth. And you can change a lot of things. It kind of has a mood, so there's no sound, but he makes these squishy little noises when it's happy and stuff like that. And the people are just changing the color of the turtle using a website. So when you get it happy, you can change the color and it makes noise. You can have it, wait, that's supposed to be green. Okay. So basically here, an object, a website, they are both linked together with a Bluetooth. And well, after the conference, my user, Zoe, she's pretty tired, so she decided to go, to come back. This is just to introduce you a little bit of geolocation application. So this works pretty well for a long time now. What happens here is that you can do two things. You can access users' current location, and you can also monitor. So you can check at fixed points different changes in the location. Again, whenever you ask the user for something, you get this little dialog, allow, and once it's allowed, you can do whatever you want with the geolocation. It works pretty well, but I really want to emphasize, I want to tell you, don't forget the fallbacks. It means the support, okay, it's great, but a lot of things can happen. You can be into a big city, no more GPS, so you can't actually use this. Or the user didn't allow it. So there are many cases when, in theory, the browser supports it. But if it doesn't work, you have to find solution. So this is an e-commerce website we worked on. What happens here is that you can find things nearby you. If the user doesn't want geolocation, you've got this drop-down. And then you've got the regions. So it's not as narrowed down as it would be with GPS location, but at least the user can see a list of 10 or 12 shops behind his area. And there's also the battery status API. I'm really excited about this one because I'm a heavy phone user and I always run low on battery. So what we can do with that? Well, my user, it was a really long day, right? No more battery. She spent the day at a conference. She tweeted a lot. And what happens here is that my website detected that the battery was low, and we're telling the user, well, your battery is low, so we've launched a static app. You can go from there to there. If you really need a dynamic one, you can press the link, but it might drain your battery. This would be really interesting because we are going to see more and more of those things that are going to consume the battery, GPS, peer-to-peer with WebRTC, stuff like that, CSS animations, Canva animations, WebGL animations, all of those things are going to drain the battery. So maybe part of our responsibility as designers, as developers, is also to like make the website respond to the user's environment, which is also like, does she has enough battery to finish this task? The support is not that bad actually. Firefox on Chrome on desktop, Android browser on mobile for the moment. The issue is always Safari for the moment. For Microsoft Edge, it's under consideration. So now it's your turn. I'm just a designer. That's a big thing to say, but I really wanted to present you some APIs and some really, really cool things we can do. We can make our users' life so much easier with those kind of things. So not all of those APIs work at the moment, but in the future we might be able to play around with those ones. So what I would say is like play around with them and treat them as progressive enhancement. Like the progressive web app thing. It's a website, so if the user doesn't support anything of the progressive web app, well, it's still a crazy website. He'll need connection, that's okay. If it can have a nice little icon, if it can work offline, fine with it. But your website should work without all of those things at first, and then progressively enhance it to make these things better. So the slides are already online. If you have any questions, I think you just have to send them to Bruce. Thank you. There's the biography.